What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to recap day 3 of the NFL draft from the Steelers' perspective again. And I say again because I am a complete idiot and recorded a 30-minute recap, not realizing that this button right here was blinking, meaning I was muted. So everybody can laugh at my pain a little bit if you want a little Sunday entertainment. You could just laugh at how just big of an idiot I am. Having said that, we got a lot to talk about. 5 draft picks, I think. But I really like what they did on the first 2 days of the draft. In order to thank you guys for the continued support just throughout this really lengthy process, I'm going to unlock the Caleb Johnson film room that I made for channel members way back, I don't know, like January or something like that. But it's like 10 or 11 minutes just going over like why I thought he was such a good Steelers fit. I'll put that into the end credits. You guys can watch it if you're looking for something to do on this fine Sunday afternoon. As for this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, drop me a comment, give me your draft grades. I'm interested to hear them, what you liked, what you didn't like. As for this video, let's get rolling. Again, I'm going to try not to go 30 more minutes just in the interest of time. But I do have a lot of thoughts just on this draft class in general. It really seems like the theme of this Steelers draft was them prioritizing leadership. They drafted 3 team captains on day 3 of the draft, and then they focused on the trenches more than anything else, right? Drafted 3 guys along the defensive line. Not overly surprising just because of how the Ravens kind of embarrassed them in the playoffs. I am sure that stung really from top down in the organization. I think this draft was kind of a reflection on that. So I want to get into my scouting notes on each of these players, strengths, weaknesses, like usual. You guys know how we get down. First one is a bit controversial. I'm just going to warn you guys right now. I don't expect any of you guys to agree with me. It's okay. We can disagree. For longtime followers, my content, you guys know the deal. How I like to go about my process: fair, thorough, honest. Let's start with Jack Sawyer, edge rusher, Ohio State, 4th round draft pick. Let's go over the strengths. Team captain this past fall, finished his college career on a high note. Best season from a production standpoint. Really turned up in the playoffs. Multiple sacks versus Tennessee and Oregon. I thought he dominated Cameron Williams in their matchup against Texas. Williams was the guy that was somewhat inexplicably, but drafted on day 3 of the draft. His strengths, thought his snap anticipation was a real plus. Felt like he got off the ball consistently on time. Seems weird, but after studying over 40 plus pass rushers in this draft, you'd be surprised how many guys suffer from false steps, poor timing, just not being ready for the snap to occur. It's incredibly frustrating, but I thought Sawyer was good in that regard. My favorite thing about his game is just his hand usage. I find to actually be pretty heavy and fairly skilled for an edge rusher coming out of college. He's a really patient rusher. He attacks tackles, takes advantage of them showing their hands prematurely, accurate hand swipes to remove opponents' levers from the contact window and to win the outside shoulder. His 2-hand swipe, or what they call at Ohio State, the side scissors move, is kind of his go-to. They do a really good job teaching that move and have historically all of their edge rushers really come out with this kind of in their repertoire. I think he's got above average play strength overall. He's got good pad level as a rusher. He has enough power to compress the pocket when he gets into guys' chests first. Like I said, he plays with pretty good leverage. He batted down 6 passes at the line of scrimmage. Some of those came like back-to-back games, which I thought really showed a good knack for getting his hands in the passing lanes. He had an awesome red zone interception in the game that I studied against Michigan. A little play action fake, and then he dropped into like a zone window. I think he was actually supposed to be rushing or maybe containing, dropped underneath, ended up picking off a pass in the red zone. I thought it really showed good instincts. He didn't drop in coverage a lot as a 3-4 outside linebacker in this scheme. He will be asked to do that on occasion. They don't do it as much now as they used to maybe 15 years ago, but it was good to see that, he at least showed good instincts and the ability to play in space like that. In the run game, I thought he was really solid in terms of setting a firm edge. He works hard to avoid being cut off, will chase things down from the backside of plays. He does a good job trying to keep his outside shoulder free in the block deconstruction phase. In the games that I watched, he looked legitimately ticked off when teams tried to block him with a tight end. I like to see that mentality. Tight ends should never be able to block your edge rushers one-on-one. That's one of the big things that I look for. So I liked that. I thought he had good play and block net recognition overall. He keeps his eyes on the ball, works back into gaps, finds his way to make tackles. The motor certainly fits the billing for what the Steelers typically value up front. That's just been a consistent theme over the course of my lifetime. Sawyer plays really hard, has a good motor. In terms of the weaknesses, This is such a weird build for a player, but he's got these like 32 and a half inch arms. So he's in the really lower percentile from that perspective. But he's got an oddly thin lower half, like thin ankles, kind of skinny legs. But he's got he lacks the short area burst up the field to consistently threaten guys with speed. I thought most of his wins on the inside track were really due to like tackles oversetting or just playing with poor technique with their shoulders to the sideline. I don't think the side to side quickness or stop start agility is going to make him like a really consistent inside track guy from the jump, even if the hand usage would indicate that he could possibly do that down the road. He's really stiff in his hips. He struggles to bend the corner and bend through contact to win on the outside shoulder. I think he's got good upper body strength, like I said, but with his legs being so skinny, I'm not really sure if he's going to have the consistent leg drive to move NFL quality tackles backwards consistently enough. I do think he can catch guys on occasion and put them on skates if their cleats aren't in the ground. But as far as like relying on that as his major source of pass rush production, just not really necessarily sure if he's got the build to do that on a consistent basis. Lots of reps where he gets tied up, unable to disengage, needs to find some counters as a rusher. He's going to be at a significant length disadvantage in the pros, 2+ inches at least. He's going to have to find ways to get countered and get guys off his frame more quickly to make more production happen in the run game. I think he's a very reliable run defender. I knew he had that reputation going into his film. I've watched him play at Ohio State for several years now, but I never felt like he was super impactful in terms of like just wrecking shop in the run game on film. The numbers kind of back that up. I actually thought his teammate JT Tuimoloau was a better run defender. He was picked earlier in the draft as well. But 5.1% run stop rate. That was in the 28th percentile among edge rushers in this class. So not really. I mean, I think he's like really reliable. I would have liked to see more like actual production. I do think he has kind of tight ankles, show up in space as a tackler. Oregon game that I watched, Dillon Gabriel made him miss in space. You can kind of see some of his struggles to like come to balance, gear down, and change directions, get guys on the ground. But he'll get his revenge there because the Browns inexplicably took Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd round of the draft, took multiple quarterbacks in this draft, just a directionless franchise. But maybe we'll see him be able to get his get back there. But overall, just to kind of summarize my thoughts on Sawyer, this is a position that is just so heavily reliant on athleticism, and I just don't see the traits. I would imagine that he's going to be particularly useful on special teams, but he's never done it to my knowledge. Couldn't find anything on it. My biggest question is just how is he going to win at the next level where guys are way more disciplined, way more athletic, a lot longer than he is. Pre-draft, I kind of graded him with a late 5th round grade, so it was closer to this portion of value in the 4th round, the mid 4th round, than where a lot of other analysts had him going. But I thought he was going to be really a fourth edge rusher type of guy that could stick in the NFL with toughness, hustle, run game reliability, while also being an asset on special teams. I've spent the past like 18 hours trying to find a path beyond that. I just can't really see the vision, honestly. I'll be rooting for him to prove me wrong as always. Really interesting prospect because this is one of the guys I've been really low on than consensus. A lot of other draft minds that I really respect, Dane Brugler, Daniel Jeremiah, the PFF guys, Connor, Trev, and just listening to other people's evaluations after I've already concluded my scouting report, John, James Foster. I tried to, see the vision. I couldn't find it. So we'll see. I honestly, I want to be very clear. I don't have an issue with them taking an edge rusher in the 4th round. I think that this position is just so valuable in the Steelers defense. It's literally the engine of everything they do organizationally. Don't have a problem ever adding more pass rushers. It's just the value I have like really on the player. So hopefully he proves me wrong. And that would be great to see. But let's go to the next player. Probably be more brief on the rest of these guys, to be honest with you. But Yahya Black, that is how you pronounce his name. I looked it up. Defensive lineman from Iowa, just a complete massive human being. Almost 6'6", 336 pounds with 35-inch arms. He played in various alignments, but primarily over the B gap as a 3 technique. Based on Carl Dunbar's comments, kind of seems like he might stay there. They're really happy with Keanu Benton at nose tackle. It seemed like I'm kind of curious. Like, do they ask him to slim back down a little bit? It could have been other teams asking him to bulk up, maybe to play more of a zero tech or shaded nose. But yeah, the link to establish first significant contact. He can lock guys out, play on the offensive side of the line of scrimmage as a run defender. Very good upper body strength, textbook lock peak shed technique. Can see that leading efficiently and effectively to the next level, even as a rookie. He had an awesome rep. I thought the Ohio State game was good from him. Had some really high level reps in that one. He knocked Donovan Jackson, who was a first round pick. I had a second round grade on him, player that I like. Knocked him backwards, jolted him back on contact, and was able to make a stop on Will Howard on a 4th and 2. Really NFL level rep right there against quality competition. He was a productive run stopper too. 24 run stops, not just a run clogger, but somebody that actually got guys on the ground. 24 run stops, one less than Michigan's Mason Graham, who was a top 5 pick. 9.1% run stop rate. Liked that a lot. Kind of backed up what you saw on film. He comes to balance well as a tackler. Blocked a field goal against Washington. You can see how his wingspan would be a helpful thing in that regard. In terms of weaknesses, he had a 1.88 10-yard split. Poor relative athletic score overall, just not like really a super explosive mover as you kind of expect for a defensive tackle. One of the guys that kind of stands straight up off the ball when he's rushing the passer. I would love for him to get play with better pad level. I think it's going to be a challenge at his height, but if you can get him to maybe like try to explode off the ball instead of straight up, that would help him be a more effective bull rush player. He tries his hardest laterally to avoid being reach block against zone concepts. To, I would say, middling success. The lack of agility and just burst is definitely an issue there. But I think if he can just be a little bit better about getting off the ball in time and snap anticipation, I think that could be minimized to a degree. He's a space eater that can collect blocks, but he is sometimes narrow in his base. That really, I feel like, affected his balance. He can occasionally like split a double team too, but like when his base was narrow, I felt like that was what those were the reps where he ended up on the ground. But that is a fixable thing in my opinion. He played a ton of snaps, but still really underdeveloped as a rusher. I don't actually think I saw like an actual pass rush move that he did on film. I wrote down in my notes that he used a rip move one time. Don't remember the game or the instance, but that was just something that I noted. Didn't really have a pass rush toolkit right now to work with. It was mostly like him slowly trying to walk guys back with his length and his power, which was kind of sapped by him just playing too high or him just playing contain and trying to get quarterbacks on the ground when they maneuvered around the pocket. So, definitely stuff that can be worked on there, but you need like 6 good defensive linemen, in my opinion, in a rotation at the NFL level. Ideally, Black is somebody that is like your 5th guy in the rotation. Maybe he has some alignment versatility. Could he play in a shade? Could he play in a 0 tech? Can he play the 3 tech over the B gap? But he's going to help you out on early downs. I think from really day one, like I said, he can collect blocks, he can space eat, and allow the second level linebackers, Peyton Wilson, Patrick Queen, guys like that are better like run and hit guys maybe than like take on blocks guys. So I think he could be helpful in a team construct. I had a late 5th round grade on him, so this value really matches up quite well, in my opinion. Next player we're talking about, this is a guy that has been heavily linked to the Steelers. We've talked about him quite a bit on the channel over this past several months. Will Howard, quarterback from Ohio State. I had a late 4th round grade on him. I actually think that this is good value, in my opinion. I was a little bit surprised that a team didn't take him earlier than this. He was the 185th pick in the draft. He's got excellent size, 6'4", 240 pounds, a really solid athlete. This is a dude who had a 71-yard touchdown run against Texas many moons ago while he was at K-State. I kind of thought he would run the 40. I thought he was maybe like a guy that could crack the under 4.7s. Lots of starting experience. He played his best ball down the stretch, similar to Sawyer, championship pedigree. Played in an offense that will resemble the one he is going to be asked to operate on Sundays. With Howard, there's a lot to like. I think the touch on intermediate throws, benders, sail routes, crossing routes, really good. He dropped a few A+ throws into the Tampa 2 void against cover 2. Him and Emeka Egbuka just had a fantastic working relationship. Their strengths as players really meshed very well. His pocket habits in terms of depth, sensing pressure, understanding, being willing to climb up is consistent. Love that about his game. I think he was the best in the class in that regard. Now, that led to a really low pressure to sack ratio. If for you data nerds out there, pressure to sack rate is something that typically translates pretty well to the pros. He's got proven ability to get through full field progressions. Wouldn't necessarily say that he is a quick processor, but he has flashed the ability to get to the backside in breakers. So I like that about him. Tons of like NFL level concepts on his tape. I think the accuracy to the first and second level is good. Hits guys in stride for the most part, allows them to maintain their momentum through the catch. He gives guys chances down the field. I thought his deep ball accuracy improved down the stretch. But one of the things I like about him, tons of 50-50 balls, allowing his guys to go up and make plays. You can see that meshing very well with a guy like George Pickens, who kind of relishes those contested catch opportunities. He's a tough player. takes hits, still delivers in the pocket. He's a physical runner, likes to lower his shoulder. He's a guy that can keep defenses honest for you in the red zone, on zone read keeps and things like that, short yardage. And he also like definitely passes the threshold of, can my quarterback get this 3rd and 8 conversion with his legs? And Howard could definitely do that as a mover. So onto the kind of weaknesses in his game. I just find him to be like a really robotical player. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Mason in that regard. They had really similar grades coming out of college for me. Feels like a totally different passer when there's actual pressure that forces him to manipulate his arm angles or play off platform or go into creation mode, which, to be honest, was very rare in that offense in that setting because guys were just running wide open all the time. You guys watched the draft. You saw how many Ohio State guys came off the board really early. He played on an NFL level offense like that. It just is what it is. But his splits, when kept clean versus under pressure, were like insane. And like I noticed it on film, but then you go back and look at the numbers. Just 2 big time throws and 8 turnover worthy plays when he was under pressure. In addition to that, I just think that the arm is just like very average. He really struggles to drive the ball with a lot of velocity, even when his feet are set. Isn't a creative thrower either to make throws off platform. Some shaky decisions to where he like got fooled by a couple coverage rotations. I would like to see more anticipation. That's going to be big for him at the next level to really reach his ceiling. He can kind of stare down his primary target. I would like to see him manipulate and move zone defenders with his eyes because I think that could get him in trouble at the next level. But overall, I feel like he could definitely operate an NFL offense like maybe tomorrow. He could probably get you through stretches at some point during his rookie contract where he manages the game, provided the decision-making stuff is clean. He improves as an anticipatory thrower. I don't see like starter level traits or upside, but I think he's going to make a lot of money for himself as a reliable backup in the league. At the 6th round, getting a guy like has some polish to his game and like definitely has like the size and things like that. I think maybe 15 years ago, Howard would have been a lot higher draft pick than what he was. So like the experience, I think this is really good value in my opinion. The Steelers have drastic need at quarterback. I don't think Howard's going to be necessarily the future in that regard, but could he be like a high level backup in the league and like be somebody that is nice to have in camp or in the event of an injury? I definitely think that he has that potential for sure. Next pick, really predictable one because Dane Brugler actually mocked this in his mock draft a couple weeks ago. We did a review, or I guess it was a week ago now. We did a review on the channel of this actually, but he had them taking Carson Bruner out of Washington, linebacker. He's 6'1", 226 pounds, a little bit undersized, but he's got decent range. He's a team captain, another one of those guys, 2024. For you young bucks out there, his father, Mark Bruner, was a Steelers tight end in the 90s, I believe. He's a current scout for them as well. So the NFL bloodlines are there. We know how much the Steelers care about the family business, if you will. 4-phase special teamer, 8 special teams tackles in 2022, 2023. That's pretty fantastic special teams production. Can really work downhill against the run. He squares up blockers, squares up runners, plays pretty in control. I only saw one full game, and then I watched another last night, but the game against USC was his best one. At least in terms of like PFF grades. So that's one of the ones I wanted to watch him at his best. He picked off a pass over the middle against a mesh concept, caught it away from his frame, a really naturally athletic play. Another rep where he like roboted a crosser off play action, showed good instincts, able to get his hand off the ball. You guys know my thoughts on PFF grades, especially in coverage, but I am at least intrigued when I see like 4 pass breakups in 2024, 2 of which were in that USC game that I thought were like NFL caliber coverage reps. So I do get a little excited about that just because I think the zone drop stuff in this scheme, this system is really important and it's difficult to do and to teach guys to do at a young age. So again, only 2 games of tape. The major, I guess, concerns that I have, I was whelmed by the change of direction stuff. I just thought that he really struggled from a change of direction and agility standpoint. And like the range is solid for like a college backer, but it definitely isn't like what you would want, like I think as a starter guy without like a lot of size or like just excellent length or anything like that. Want to watch a couple more games for sure, just because I am kind of intrigued, but just based on like them having Danny Smith at his like after they did the selection, his press conference or whatever, having Danny Smith out there to talk about it definitely signals like this dude's going to be on special teams. Like that's why they drafted this kid. And if he gives you more as a linebacker, like that's absolutely great. He can outplay that for sure. But I do think like the value, people may roll their eyes because the nepotism thing and the Steelers like do this all the time. But I do think the value in the 7th round, getting a guy that I think is going to be a beast on special teams. It's perfectly fine. So the next draft pick, probably the one that intrigues me the most, honestly, because I want to commend the Steelers for finally drafting a quarterback that has played in the slot. It may have been the 437th best player on the consensus board, but I'm incredibly excited to watch this dude's film. Pittsburgh doesn't typically value this position, but this kid has like a legit shot to make the roster and maybe even a playing time, to be honest with you. Beanie Bishop lost his spot pretty much last year to Cam Sutton. We know like what transpired there. Brandon Echols coming over from the Jets. I'm sure they're going to try him at slot cornerback. Like he hasn't really played there in the NFL, so like that's going to be a thing. Kent actually has over 600 reps in the slot from college. He's played over 40 games. He has well over 40 pass breakups. So like experience and ball production is there. A couple interceptions as well. He was a team captain. I watched the New Hampshire game last night. I've requested a couple other films be sent to me. He made a nice pass breakup from a side saddle technique off a speed turn, came downhill, made a nice open field tackle as the cloud corner in cover 2 as well. I did see him miss a tackle in the on an outbreaker that led to a touchdown in the red zone. So that was something that I wanted to know. But I do see some athletic traits. I see nice closing burst. The kid ran a 4.38, so he can definitely run a little bit. He wasn't tested deep in this game, but I didn't think anybody ran by him. Like it seems like he has. He's a pretty good linear mover. 6 tackles on special teams as a freshman, maybe some gunner potential. He hasn't really had to play there just because, like, at Central Michigan, he's been a starter. So that's always the thing with these like day 3 guys. Like, how much have they ever played special teams? Because that's kind of their path to making the 53. I am intrigued too. Like he averaged over 13 yards per return on punts. He did muff 2 last year, but he took 1 to the crib. So potentially a guy that could factor into the mix there. A little concerned about the processing speed on defense. I just felt like he was slow to trigger on a couple plays. Some runs got bounced outside of him. From a containment standpoint, would like to see just more urgency and coverage. But curious on that. Didn't play in the slot and they really that much in the game that I watched. So I'm going to try to find some like tapes that actually have slot work just to see if he has like the in out quicks to mirror some of the route runners that he could see, the shiftier guys in the NFL. But I am intrigued. I'll report back like once I get like more tape on him. He's definitely somebody that I'll spend a good amount of time watching. So yeah, I really appreciate your all's continued support as always. Just throughout the draft process. Thank you all so much. It's absolutely been a blast. And I feel incredibly, grateful. I think I'm going to sleep extremely well over the next couple of days, and I'm interested to hear your all's thoughts just on the draft haul in general. But I can't wait to do it again next year, and I appreciate your all's continued support again once again. So I will holler at you guys in the next couple of days. I'm sure I'll have some film rooms cranking out relatively soon. Content coming to you guys, tons of written stuff on SteelersNow.com if you're looking for that stuff. So I will check you guys very soon. Peace and love.